Before they were the co-founders of BET and the parents to Paige and Brett, Robert L. Johnson and Sheila Crump Johnson were college students finding their way. As freshmen at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, Sheila Crump met a junior named Robert L. Johnson. He was more commonly known as Bob, and he was assigned to be something like her campus mentor during freshman orientation. While he was supposed to be helping her navigate college life from the perspective of an upperclassman, Sheila said he was really just trying to get at her. They started dating that year, which she said began an on-again, off-again relationship. Throughout their relationship, Bob would tell Sheila that one day he would be wealthy, and she liked how he was focused and had ambition. I mean, don't we all love it when our person has dreams? But you know what? Sheila's mama didn't like this man though. Nope. She told Sheila immediately she didn't think that Bob was right for her. She told her daughter that she was going to lose who she was in her relationship with him. Perhaps her mom got a whiff of the controlling nature and the emotional abuse her child would say that she endured throughout this relationship. I mean, honestly, mamas be knowing. But perhaps Sheila was far too gone. So much that during her junior year on January 9th, 1969, Bob and Sheila got married. Now, their wedding cost $50. And she made her wedding dress from a McCall's A-line pattern that she found. And because she was a cheerleader at the university, she didn't have to pay to rent the chapel, nor did she have to pay for the hors d'oeuvres. Before they got married, Bob was at Princeton in the Woodrow Wilson School of Public and International Affairs. He wanted her to leave school and go with him, but she was like, no, I have a full ride. I'm going to graduate. That was also something her father wanted for her as well. She said, quote, that was the smartest thing I could have ever done. He left Princeton and worked at the University of Illinois, and during that time, they got married. But it was also in the middle of the Vietnam War. He got drafted, and while he was in basic training, she worked 3 jobs in addition to continuing her classes. The stress of all of this made her barely 100 pounds. Also around that time, President Lyndon Johnson mentioned that they wanted more minorities in the reserves, so Sheila was like, wait a second. She went to the reserve unit and requested that her husband get transferred after he completed basic training. And that worked, and he did, which allowed Bob to basically bypass the war. Now later, Bob would have several jobs in the communications industry, one in which was this role as a lobbyist at the National Cable and Television Association. This was in the very beginnings of cable, and Bob had this great idea for a channel. So Bob and Sheila took out a $15,000 loan to start Black Entertainment Television, or BET. Bob became the CEO, and Sheila would become the executive VP for corporate affairs. Now, during their time at BET, they saw it go public in 1991, making it the first African-American owned business to be traded on the New York Stock Exchange. This gave Bob and Sheila and their team around $70 million to use to grow the company and the channel. Now, this lasted for a little bit more than half a decade before Bob bought the shares back and made the company private again. Now, it was also around this time in the late 90s that Sheila said that she and other longtime executives were fired. I imagine that this was also around the time of the downfall of their marriage, because in 2002, Sheila and Bob got a divorce. Now, when recalling her marriage about 2 years after they divorced, Sheila said Bob's cheating was, quote, his biggest problem. Apparently, and also allegedly, Bob was a, quote, known philanderer, but probably his most notable affair was to his number 2 at BET, COO Deborah Lee. Now, Sheila would end up with $400 million in the divorce, but she probably gained something way more that she always wanted instead. Soon, you'll understand exactly what I mean. Now, I'll tell you more about this story tomorrow, so come back for another episode of I'll Tell You What. Or, if you're too impatient, you know where to go. Head to the Tube of You and you can watch the entire episode there.